So, what does fishing line have to do with repairing a chainsaw? Hang on to your hats and you'll find out. The first thing you got to do is tie a knot in your fishing line, because we're going fishing for fuel line. If you've ever tried to feed a piece of fuel line into a chainsaw and get it down in through that little hole way down in the back, and then be able to pull it out through here, and I gotta tell you, that little hole in the back is way up in the corner. See that thing back in there? Yep, that little light spot, that's where it's got to come from. And you got to get it down out this way enough so you can put the filter on it, and then be able to pull it back up enough to be able to hook it up to the carburetor and to the primer bulb. The first thing we got to do is take our fishing line and see, I have split the end of it two different directions so that when I put my loop on here and pull it tight, trying to keep you in focus while I'm doing this, and that's not an easy project, and you don't want it all the way at the back, you want it close to the end to squeeze it down like that. And you notice that it kind of makes it shrinks down the end of it a little bit. Now I'm going to feed my fishing line down through that hole. I tried three or four different ways of getting this fuel line in there, and I've already got to tell you that I've worked on it for a couple hours. It's down in the hole. Now I gotta see if I can grab a hold of that fishing line through the filler hole. Obviously, if you're gonna replace your fuel line, you gotta empty out your gas tank, right? Yes. Whoop, back you up. I'm gonna tip this on its side and see if I can find that fishing line down in there. I need some light because it's kind of dark in them air holes. Where is it? And of course the fishing line is clear, so that makes it harder to see too for an old guy. And I hope this fishing line is going to be strong enough. You probably can't see what I'm doing. Ah, I got it. Can you see that? I got it. Now, the next thing to do, turn my light off here, is to feed the end of my fuel line down into that hole. And of course, fuel line has curly cues on it. The idea is the more that you pull on the fishing line, the more it's going to shrink that down. Come on, girl. Of course, it's so far in the back you can't really get a good push at it. Try. Let's see, one lip there is not in. If I can get it started in there, we'll have the major part of it overcome. I think we've got it all in there. It's when I could use an extra set of hands. Trying to get my fingers down inside, down in here, so that I'm pulling more or less straight down on that. Well, let me wrestle with it and I'll bring you back. Well, after several aborted attempts, I finally got it pulled down through enough to grab it with my needle nose pliers, which you will need to use to get in there to grab it and pull it down. The biggest problem is that you can't, my fingers aren't long enough to pull straight down on that thing. And so you're always pulling at an angle like this. But we got it done, and now we've hooked it together with this connector, which holds the fuel filter in place. And we'll slide it back up and hook everything back up and see if it runs.